So just imagine, you're a young kid, you're with your friends, you want to start playing in a band. You're going to get together, you're going to rock out, jam out, and then you say one day, let's take this thing serious. Let's go to the next level. Let's be great. And you know in the back of their mind, they want to historically be one of the greatest bands of all time. Who wouldn't want to be? Be up there with the likes of Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles. The list goes on and on and on. There's so many great bands out there who started from the bottom and made their way to the top. Now, do you think in their mind somewhere they're wondering, I wonder what it would be like to be one of the most hated bands of all time? I highly doubt it. So I cannot help but to wonder, how does a band that sells out arenas all over the world, has sold way more than 50 million copies of their albums worldwide, end up being so disliked, so despised, and just hated by practically everybody? Well, Nickelback somehow managed to get themselves in that category. Well, in this video, we're going to explore why we think that happened. Let's get into it right now. So let's kind of take a step back to Nickelback's origins, the beginning. Just some young dudes from Canada wanting to jam out. They started originally and formed the band in 1995. They went by the name Village Idiot before they eventually changed it to Nickelback a little ways down the road. But when they were forming, they got in there and they were jamming out. They were doing covers. They were a cover band covering bands like Led Zeppelin and Metallica. Not bad bands to cover, I might add. Who doesn't like Led Zeppelin and Metallica? Don't answer that if you don't like them. But if you do like them, drop it in the comment section and tell me who your favorite bands are. Who do you love? Or give me a top 5, whatever it is. Who do you love out there? So in 1996, Nickelback dropped their first album. But it was in 1999 when they signed with Roadrunner Records that seed was planted and that tree of hatred was starting to grow. So when Nickelback dropped their album in 2001, Silver Side Up, this produced a couple radio hits. How You Remind Me and Too Bad were two of the biggest. How You Remind Me being the biggest off that album. That song was playing on the radio 24/7. You always heard it. The thing was, not ashamed to admit it, I actually purchased the album because as a young kid, I've always heard rock music, whether it was the 80s glam and hair metal, even bands like Van Halen. I can remember hearing the Grateful Dead. I remember hearing Aerosmith. I remember hearing the Doors. I remember hearing rock music from every which way, from people in the family or friends of the family. It was always around. It was in my blood. It still is. Now, I wouldn't get into all those subgenres and underground stuff till later on in life, but I loved rock and I liked the songs that I heard on the radio, so I bought their album. It's not a bad album to me personally, but the critics, they took a bite out of it right away. Their thing was that Nickelback was bland. They sounded generic. They didn't sound like anything special, and this wasn't going to be the worst they would ever get it. But it's a sad thing that your first big album, you're already starting to get it. But it should be expected, right? Because every artist, every band, they're going to get their criticism from somewhere, no matter what. But the thing was, they were labeling this as a generic sound, but it was perfect for mainstream radio. So obviously everybody knows it. When I say knows it, I mean everybody thinks this. It's in our minds. Hot band, the lead singer's always front and center. So from early to mid 2000s, Nickelback's hatred and the clowning on the band was just growing. It was growing at a rapid rate. But Chad Kroeger, the lead singer, he was getting a brunt of it, and they were just seen to be laser focused in on this guy. A couple things. They said his behavior and his antics were one that just really wasn't fitting for a rock star. The way he would goof around with his friends, wrestle around in the mud, he would do keg stands, all this crazy crap that you would consider more that of a frat boy or a young high school student. Stuff like that. They said, this guy shouldn't be a rock star. There was actually a story. He did an interview with Playboy magazine. And in this magazine, he said one time, and how do I say this? He had fun with himself in a pleasurable way just to get a case of beer. So I'm going to tap into something right here, and I'll tap more into it later in the video. But really quickly, I want to start digging that hole. So the band was getting crap. Chad Kroeger was getting most of it because of his antics, because of his behavior, and it wasn't stopping. It was absolutely growing. It was like a wildfire out of control. Nickelback was just being clowned with the brunt of everybody's jokes. But I gotta think, I heard quite a few crazy stories in my time about rock bands and their crazy antics. And one that came to mind, and I remember hearing this a long time ago, in the 80s, when Motley Crue was getting big, they were out opening for Ozzy Osbourne. They were the opening act. And there was these stories about how Ozzy and the guys from Crue would compete in these crazy situations to see who could do the most disgusting and insane acts. Who could do it better than the other? And I think Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue was the one that really tried to stay on that level with Ozzy. Because Ozzy has quite a few crazy stories. A couple of which was Ozzy would take dollar bills, stick it between his cheeks, and I don't mean the cheeks on your face, and ask people to take it out. And that way they could purchase their own free drinks. They take the money, the drinks are free, right? Nikki Sixx, he would urinate on the ground and go to lick it up. Now, before he could lick it up, Ozzy would get down there and do it himself. But the thing is, does that not seem frat boyish or high schoolish? Does to me, but it's Ozzy and Nikki Sixx for Motley Crue. So, it's not. It just is for Chad Kroeger. So another thing that would really get the band crapped on and just more criticism from every which way is, and especially Chad. Chad wrote a lot of the lyrics for the songs. And that's exactly why. The lyrics really got him looked at with some crazy looking eyes. Mainly because they portrayed women in their lyrics as sex objects, more or less possessions, and nothing more than that. Songs like Figured You Out and Something in Your Mouth were two very big examples of just looking into Chad's mind and saying, this guy has got some crazy stuff going on up there. And sometimes those lyrics got a little dark. Sometimes it would, go toward the direction of like abuse and some crazy acts in the bedroom or other places. And that also got me wondering. There's quite a few rock songs out there where they go down that avenue, where they talk about women in maybe a derogatory way or a way that we don't really accept in society these days, which is fine. I'm all for the world uniting for whatever cause. Don't got a problem with it. But the way we treat women and talk about them has changed over time. But rock and roll has always stood a stance, especially all male groups, on sometimes the way they portray their lyrics toward women. Maybe it was because the times were changing at the time Nickelback was writing these songs, but this really got them a lot of crap, the way that they wrote these lyrics in the direction of women. And then Nickelback, well, when I say Nickelback, Chad Kroeger, lead singer, he goes off and signs a band called Theory of a Dead Man to his label. Now, you know Theory of a Dead Man. If you don't, they're just an alt-rock band. They have some hits, some radio hits, and not everybody's cup of tea. Not my personal favorite either, for that matter, but I don't think they're an horrendous band. But they were being dubbed a Nickelback knockoff clone type band when they came out, and they were on Chad's label was one reason. Another reason was that they wrote 10 songs for Theory of a Dead Man, Chad and the boys, to go on their debut album. So 10 of the songs that were on the album were written by the guys from Nickelback. Just another reason for them to dub them a Nickelback knockoff. I don't think that one bit. In fact, there's lots of examples of bands out there that bring new bands, new talent in to the scene, put them to work, and put them out there. I don't got a problem with it whatsoever. In fact, they should be thankful for that, and they gave Theory a chance, and they got their break. And I think it really sucks that we want to knock people for because they were getting crap from every which way. There was no doubt about that. There was nothing Nickelback could do that seemed to be right. But you know what? I gotta say one thing. The guys kept their spirits up through everything. So, the next thing Nickelback did, can you guess what it got them? That's right. A whole bunch of crap from a lot of people. Their 2005 hit, Rockstar, they licensed it to a furniture company up in Canada, and that company played it on their commercials to promote their product. Why not? It was a huge hit. Nickelback's huge in Canada. It's where they're from. But, oh my God, the amount of crap that Nickelback got. Oh, geez, what kind of crap is this? A furniture commercial. Oh, you're sellouts, blah, blah, blah. You suck, even more things. It was crazy the amount of negative publicity and negative comments they just got from people. And I think by now they were getting used to it, because it just seemed like Nickelback was the go-to punchline if you wanted to make fun of something, because they were just that band. But I gotta ask you a question. Did the band Van Halen get a lot of crap when they licensed their song Right Now to Pepsi for all their Pepsi Crystal commercials? Hell no! People love Van Halen. They love that song. I love that song. Amazing song off an amazing album. And then the band Rat, more recently, their song Round and Round. They played it on those Geico commercials. They actually performed it on the commercials. The guys did. Did they get crap for that? Hell no. Because it's an awesome song. And people love Rat. There was nothing much negative to say about those. And there's other examples out there. But did Nickelback get it? You bet they did. They got it from every which way. Again. I mean, they can't do nothing right apparently. So I want to show you something. So Nickelback was doing a rock festival in Portugal. The guys were out there. They were playing. They played their first song. No problem. They started diving into their second song. And it didn't take long in. Maybe 30 seconds into the song. The people in the crowd started throwing rocks. Throwing bottles. Just throwing whatever they could at the band. Chad Kroeger just stopped the music. Grabbed the mic. And he said this.
Have we got any Nickelback fans in Portugal? Are you sure? Up to you. You guys want to hear some rock and roll or you want to go home? See ya.
So that right there, I gotta be honest with you. There's a lot of things I don't like. I can't really condone that. That's me personally. That's where I draw a line for the guys. I mean, that's ridiculous. You're throwing stuff at these guys. You could basically, it tells me you care less if something were to happen and you harm them. It's just like, and for what? You don't like their music? You don't like what you hear about them, so you automatically jump on that bandwagon and say that they must be bad people. They suck. They're the brunt of everybody's jokes. So I'm gonna join in. I mean, come on. That's pretty bad. Even coming from me, I'm not a big Nickelback fan, but the amount of hate these guys get, and that right there, absolutely ridiculous. So now after everything that Nickelback was getting thrown at them, no pun intended, they were doing a fundraiser. It was called the Alberta Flood Aid Fundraiser. This was big in Canada. It was a huge event. There was people out there all day rocking out, great music. It was live on TV. People all over the country were watching it, and Nickelback was set to headline. So the day was going well, everybody's having a blast, the night's winding down, Nickelback set to hit the stage. So when they hit the stage, they requested the live feed be cut. Oh my, when that happened, people found out, Twitter blew up and just verbally assaulted them from every which direction. They were killing Nickelback. I mean, this was huge. They destroyed Nickelback. There was only one guy, he came out, I think it was a PR, somebody with the band, I'm not sure what his position was or how he was affiliated with them, but he was the only one to come out and support the band. When news, stations reached out to the band, they couldn't get a response, they couldn't get an answer to why. But the guy said, hey, there was something going on, there was a reason it happened, it wasn't that they just wanted to do it. I'm not still even sure what happened. But it's hard to kind of vouch for him on that. I'd like to hear the excuse or the reasoning behind that, but man, people lit them up for that, and after everything they've gotten over the years, it wasn't a good look and it didn't help. So now we gotta sit here and ask ourselves, what's the reason why Nickelback is hated so much? But do me a favor, if you like the content so far, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It's gonna help me grow. They'll put me out there to a larger audience, and we can all talk about music together, because I know music is everybody's love. Whether you say it or not, whether what the genre is or the style of music, it don't matter. We all listen to music for different reasons. To get happy, when we're sad, whatever it is, music's been there for you through some tough times and through some good times. So please, support the channel, like and subscribe. Nickelback. I think about it a lot and I say, why are they hated so bad? And yes, we've thrown a couple things out in this video, but nothing that I can't sit there and say many other people have done that are nowhere near hated as bad as Nickelback. And this is why I think they're hated so bad. I'm going to give you a little story. My children love YouTube, and Prime, the energy drink and the drink, are so huge right now. Logan Paul, this thing has been marketed so well. People love it. When I go to the store, my kids would say, I want Prime, I want Prime. Whatever, I'll get them some Prime. Then the other day, one of my kids, I was at the store, do you want some Prime? No, Prime sucks. I said, what? Are you kidding me? For one, you didn't say that 2 days ago. Second, where the hell did you hear that at? And they didn't tell me nothing, but I saw them watching a video, And I'm not sure what the channel was, but they were just dogging Prime, talking about how bad it sucked. And then I thought of it. Well, why is Nickelback hated so bad? Well, all it takes is a few to start the fire. And then it takes a lot to add to the fire. I think it was a stigma that got put on them early, and it just stuck. Because Nickelback hasn't done a lot more different than any other rock bands out there. Not that they're as big as some rock bands or they get enough leeway as some of the others, but what have they really done to be hated that bad? I can't say that they've done enough, in my opinion, to be hated as bad as they are. To be such a laughingstock and a joke. And I know there's a ton of Nickelback fans out there that support them and they stick up for them. They got their back. I'm cool with that. I'm on your side. I'm not throwing no shade their way. It's not coming from this direction. But I think when it gets stuck on you like that, and people that don't even know the band are going to automatically know that they've heard about how bad they are, how bad they suck, and they're going to throw it out there just naturally. It's the human mind. It's a crazy thing, our mind. But that's all it is. I think it's just the aura, the way they look. Sometimes people judge by how you look, and it's sad, but that's how it is. I think that's all it is. A stigma that stuck, the way that they look, the aura they put off, it just makes them hated. And it's unfortunate because it kind of sucks. They shouldn't be that hated, but doesn't matter. Nickelback has got that reputation, one of the most hated bands in the world. I don't think it's justified, but does it matter what I think? Nope. But anyway, if you think Nickelback sucks and you hate them, drop it in the comment section. If you think that all this hate and dislike is unwarranted, drop that in the comment section. I'd like to read it. And again, thank you everybody coming and watching and listening to what I had to say. Like and subscribe to the channel. American Dream. Till next time, take care of yourself. I'm out.